Thank you. Did you all get a stone on your way in? If you didn't, raise your hand, and Mel or Mary will bring the stones around. Andre, that includes you, Lisa, Leslie, Hudson, Chris. And take a little look at the stone that you have here. Where these were picked up were Atlantic Beach. So just imagine, it's a stone relative, part of nature. Where did it begin? And how did it get so smooth in the ocean? Just think of the decades of churning in the ocean, in the sand, getting smoother and smoother. And then I had the pleasure of picking these up last June at Atlantic Beach. They're just waiting there in the sand as you go for a walk. You're like, among all the smooth sand, there are these, and they glisten, of course. Some of them, when they're wet, are almost clear. They're just beautiful. So hold it in your hand for a while, but we'll be using it in just a minute. So I'm glad we all have one. Well, let's send out our blessings to Victoria, Reverend Victoria. She's on vacation. So we're really glad that she trusts Pat and I to create a wonderful experience for you with all the support that we have. And today is a great day. The month of what is this? November is release. I wish it was October still, but we wouldn't have these colors, right? So beautiful. So while you're looking outside, we're surrounded by this blaze of glory of the trees that are, finished with this energy of their green leaves from the summer, and they're transforming and transmuting into a different kind of energy. And this is a great reminder of this season for us, like trees, to release. And I think of it as part of like our spiritual hygiene, right? There's little things we could release, with our breath, like we did. We released the jiggies in our meditation. And I like to sit on my back porch once in a while and just release with some bubbles in my breath. Don't worry, Debbie, it won't stain anything. Right? But the leaves, they don't just drop off and go away like, whoop, they're gone. They are actually composted in the soil, and they become food for all the little insects and all the mycelium and all the bacteria and fungi, and they become part of the compost that feeds the communities of trees underground in the root system of the forest. So it's not just like drop off. The energy of the leaf in the summer is transformed. So we're going to experience a couple things. A couple techniques for transforming energy. In unity, there's a term called chemicalization, which is, if you think of the physical world and your bodies as expressions of the divine and expressions of our consciousness, when there's something that's incongruent, like maybe a new thought's coming in, but it's conflicting with a current thought pattern or belief system that we have, we may feel some angst there, right? We may even have a physical symptom. That's chemicalization. So some of these processes of release can help through that process. I'm going to start with a story. So Francis Rico, anyone have heard of him? Great book called Deep Beauty, I highly recommend. He's a shaman out in California, and I learned this from him. So I have this little stone. This stone represents suffering, negative experiences, maybe that I inherited or cultural, or because of things that happened to me in my life, or choices that I made. And this is a practice that I invite you to actually try at home. You take this stone. He says put it in your sock in the morning, but I'll just put it in my sandal here. Put it somewhere where it's not comfortable, right? And almost anywhere is not comfortable to me. So I'm walking around. So you put it in your sock or your sandal, walk around, and it's like, it doesn't feel good. Like, I don't want to walk. I can walk, but I'm noticing it's very uncomfortable. It's just a little sharp rock. It's not like the one you're holding. And this doesn't feel good. But it makes me think of all the other people that are walking around with, stones in their shoes, stones in their life. Like, oh man. So at some point I decide this isn't good enough. I've got to do something about it. So I decide to do something about it, go to therapy or whatever, or go to affirmative prayer, do a 3-minute miracle with Joanne. I decide to do some work to release this stone. So I'm taking it out, and so this would be the equivalent of it being in my subconscious, right? It's bothering me. Now I'm doing something about it. I have to become conscious of what is it? Maybe I want to be conscious of the story or the cause, or I need to do some work, some gratitude work, some releasing. So now I've taken it out of my subconscious. It is now in my consciousness, in my hand. I can see it, I can understand it, I can see it shape. It's now in my consciousness. I'm like, wow, I can walk around much better. I can walk now. But now I'm holding it, I'm kind of holding it tightly in my hand, but now if I want to go do something, like put on my mask, I only have 2 fingers available, right? So I can do it, but it's kind of a pain. Or if I want to open this up and do blowing bubbles, I can get it done, but I'm sort of constrained. I'm constrained because I'm holding on to it in my conscious mind. And so this was symbolic of knowing that we have something and understanding it, but I'm holding it, I'm keeping it, I keep telling the story, I maybe make it part of my identity, I'm holding on to it for whatever reason. So how can I release it? Well, there's several different ways. One important way is to remember that we're part of the divine, we're part of expressions of the divine. So one way is to become conscious of it and then consciously release it back to the divine. Release it back. How are different ways I can do that? Well, this is an altar. This is kind of an ode to our community and to the season. And I'm going to place this stone. I'm going to really focus on this. I'm going to blow into it the part that I'm conscious of that I want to release. So this is really representing what I want to release. And I'm going to place it on an altar to the divine, not because I can get rid of this. I can't just throw the stone away because it's going to come back to my subconscious. I'll probably step on it again. It'll show up in my sock or my sandal. So I'm actually placing it over here. I can't get rid of it, but I can release it to the divine. And I'm placing it right here in this altar. You can do the same thing at home. But there are other ways to release. And some of them we've done right here in our community, right? If you're conscious of something, you can write it down. How many of you journal? Yeah, or you can write things on a piece of paper. Sometimes we have fire ceremonies out here. Going to a fire ceremony, releasing that piece of paper or journal page into the fire is really a way to take it out of your conscious mind, put it in something physical that you can actually see that energy transform. So writing it and releasing it into a fire. Writing it and releasing it into water. Did you know there's dissolvable paper that doesn't pollute, that you can write it on, and as soon as it touches the water, it dissolves. It just disappears. That's a good way. You can also bury paper in a slow release method, right? And compost it. I've been part of many ceremonies where we write things down, or we use a stone like this as a symbol to put our energy into, and we bury it. Today, outside, we have an outdoor mindfulness experience at 12:45. We're going to be building a stone ceremony, doing a ceremony with our stone brothers and sisters to mark a sacred space over by the labyrinth at the beginning of the Serenity Trail. And we're going to take the stones that you have in your hands in just a minute, and we're going to add them to what's called an apasheta, so a sacred pile of stones. In the Peruvian tradition, it's called an apasheta. Michael will tell you it might be called a cairn in his tradition. And who was asking me about this? If you go to Tibet or Mongolia, I think they call them an uzu, and those piles of stones with the blue flag. So there's lots of ways that people use our stone brothers and sisters with their permission to serve as a point of attention, a point of energy for transformation, almost like a acupressure, more like an acupressure place on the earth that brings in the energy of the divine, the energy of the earth together, the energy of our human hearts in one place. And that's what we're going to be creating out at the labyrinth, and you're invited to put your stones there yourself or to leave them in a basket, and we'll do that for you. But the idea is to offer things of love, of gratitude, of things we want to transform, and to put it in the sacred places and use the elements of nature as a way to help transform that energy, just like the leaves falling from the trees transform into compost and then feed the roots, and it all cycles back. So are you ready to use your stones? All right. So first of all, take a look at this beautiful stone. It's here to be of service. These were all sanitized before I brought them, so there's no germs on them. They've also, before I picked them up, I asked permission if they'd like to be of service in ceremonies like this, so everything's aligned. And get to know your stone a little bit. Notice its colors, its shape, how smooth it is. You might hold it up to the light, look at its outline. And, people that work with stones a lot actually use them for divination, right? They sort of talk to them in their imagination, and they get information from them. Like you can make meaning, when you're in a meditative state, you can make meaning out of every little speckle, every little wave, every little change in the rock. Can answer questions that you might be holding in your heart. So take a look at this stone, get to know it. Put it in your right hand. The right hand in many faith traditions is actually the giving hand, the power hand, the giving hand. The left is usually receiving. So if you think of this as your giving hand, you could hold it to your heart, or you could just think about your heart. And bring to your awareness, you can close your eyes if you like, just quiet down. Bring to your awareness something. It could be something very simple that you would like to work with the stone relative to bring out of your consciousness and your body, perhaps, and into the stone. It could be something simple like, let me tune into my body. Where do I have stagnation in my body? Or where am I holding an emotion like jealousy, or shame, or fear, maybe some resentment? Can I locate that somewhere in my physical body, in my emotions, in my thoughts? And then make a choice to transfer that energy into the stone. And here's how you do it. You bring what you can identify, what you'd like to release into your heart. And then hold this tightly in your right hand, your right palm. And just picture it traveling down your right, over to your right shoulder, down your right arm, down into your palm, and just feel that energy being received by the stone, who is here to be of service. And anything you transfer, it can't harm the stone. It's here to be of service. Just feel that flowing in. And then to seal it in, just take a deep breath, hold it for a minute, and blow it into your palm. And then put your left hand on top and just seal it again with your gratitude. Thank you, stone. Thank you, earth, for helping me release, for being of service, for holding this energy and transforming and transmuting it for me, using the elements of the earth. And then let's picture beautiful honey-colored light coming in through the top of your head and flowing down your spine, filling every cell in your body with divine, beautiful love, light, and compassion, filling any places that may have been opened through the release of what you've shared with the stone, and it has willingly received and is all sealed up in there. And feel every cell of your body bathed in this golden yellow light, all the way down through your fingers, out your toes. And just take a deep breath, open your eyes when you're ready. And I invite you to take this beautiful stone, and you can right now, if you'd like, go to the chair in the back by the door that you came in, and there's a beautiful cloth If you'd like to place it there, we can take it outside for you. Or you can keep it with you, take it home, and put it on your altar. Or keep it in your pocket. But the point is to now that it's here, move it into a place where you can let go of it, forget about it, right? So let's let go of it in our beautiful sacred spaces here by placing it on the cloth. I invite you to do that while I do a little bit of drumming for you. Take a few deep breaths. Just cleanse your body as you feel that beautiful glow. And those of you at home, I hope you have a stone that you can do this practice with. And we invite you to come to the Unity Center outside spaces by the labyrinth when you can and add your stone to the sacred apisheta that we're building today. And if you feel like it, I invite you to try Francis Rico's stone in the sock practice. And see if that helps you with this process of release. And I just want to leave, what's the point of all these things to release? I think of it as hygiene, like a stuck emotion, or I got to release a situation, or maybe it's something I've had forever, or decades, it's deeply seated in me. It's kind of like a never-ending cycle. So let's use the invitation of this season as a reminder to do our releasing, to keep our spiritual hygiene. Let's remember the purpose of these things, I think, and in Unity teachings, what's the purpose of pain and suffering, our human condition, right? It's not to throw it away and to be crystal free of anything, because that doesn't seem possible. But it's to guide us into greater love for ourselves and for others, and I would add for the earth. The purpose of this pain, these pains, is to guide us into greater love. And I hope you'll take the invitation of using our stone relatives to help you release during this beautiful fall season. And with that, I think I turn it back over to you, Pat. Music. Oh, to music. Okay. Lisa and Leslie, thank you very much. Thank you.